Hey everyone, welcome back to Scalar. Today in this particular video, we will talk about mastering prompts in LangChain. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the rest of the Agentic AI playlist. And if you are serious about building a strong career in AI, check out Scalar's Advanced AI and Machine Learning program, co-certified with IIT Roorkee CEC. It's designed to help you master the skill needed for the real-world AI role and get you ready for that. For more information, check the link in the description box. Also, tell us in the comment what other AI topics you would like us to cover. So let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome to this particular video. Now in this video, we will talk about prompt templates in LangChain. Now in the second video, I explained you about why we need prompt templates in LangChain. So in this particular video, I will show you the step-by-step process of creating prompt templates. Also, we will talk about the importance of prompt templates in LangChain and why we need them. By the end of this video, you will also be creating a very small chatbot with me. So it is going to be a very interesting video. So let's get started. Now, before I start, this is a common setup which we will be doing after every video, which basically mean you have to set up your environment variable. And as I have mentioned in the previous video also, that this is the environment file where I have uploaded, or I would say I have preserved all my API keys, and these are secret keys. So in order to make sure that they are preserved and they are secured, I have created this .env file where I have added all the API keys, and we are loading that file over here to set up the environment variable. So this is something which you have to do every time you come back and create a new collab notebook where you are creating some application using LangChain. Again, as a regular practice, we will be installing the LangChain underscore core. As I mentioned, this is a very important package which we will be using a lot of time. And today the discussion is around LangChain underscore core, because this is the package where you will find out the prompt template, you will find out the message also, and the messages tag also over here. We will be using LangChain underscore OpenAI as a chat model, and you do not need to install these as of now, so you can ignore them, but these are the two libraries which we will be using in this particular video. So let's create the model and let's try to create a model which have a dynamic prompt. Before that, let me quickly explain you. When we talk about the prompt template in LangChain, there are two kinds of prompt template. One is the text prompt template, and the second one is the multimodal prompt template. So as the name suggests, text prompt templates are those prompt templates where you mention your prompt, which is in text, in the dynamic form. While the multimodal prompt templates are those templates where the requirement is to provide the LLM with something which is not just the text. So let's say you want to query your LLM with the text as well as the image. Then we will not be using just the text prompt template. We'll be using the multimodal prompt template. So I will be showing you one demonstration for multimodal also, but for majority of the applications that you will be building using LangChain, you will find out yourself using the text prompt template, and hence in this particular video, the emphasis and the focus would be on the text prompt template. So let's get started. What I will do is I'll create a very small application which can take the input as the name of the city, and then the LLM will return me 5 pointers defining that particular city. So to start with, let's first of all, from the OpenAI, we can load the chat model. So from LangChain underscore OpenAI, I want to import chat OpenAI, right? So let's run it. And then we will create the LLM, which is the chat model. So I'll say chat model, and we are going to use chat GPT 3.45 turbo. As the parameter, we can define the temperature. We can define the temperature as, let's say, 0.5, and the max underscore tokens, we can keep it as 200. So now what we can do, we can take the input from the user. So input, and we can mention enter the name of the city, and this is the input. Now we will generate our prompt. So prompt is equal to, my prompt would be explain or write 5 points about the following city, and here we will provide the name of the city. So what we can do is we can format this with the INP, the input, and now we will invoke our LLM. So LLM dot invoke, and we provide the prompt which will return me some result which I can preserve in the variable result, and I will simply say result dot content. So let's run it. So name of the city is Kanpur, as I am from Kanpur, and there is a problem. Oh, great. I do not have to. So let's run it. And here we have the answer. Kanpur is a major industrial and so. So this is done, right? Now, you guys must be thinking ki if we can write the dynamic prompts using this string formatting mechanism, why the hell I need prompt template, which is the part of LangChain? Now, this was the question that I was also wondering, that if I can create dynamic prompts using the f string or a string format function in Python, why I need it? Why I need, let's say, the prompt template? Now, the answer is very simple, and I will tell you the answer in 3 words. Number one is, so prompt template is the part of the LangChain framework. That means when you are creating applications, you can write dynamic prompts while keeping yourself within the framework. And that makes sure that you are avoiding writing glue code. So, uh, helps us write the entire code within the LangChain framework and avoids us writing glue code. And I have explained this point in detail in the second video, that any code which is written out of the framework is a glue code. So this code, which is the format function, is something that I have written in Python, and this is a native Python function. This is not the function that you can find out in the LangChain framework. So this is going to act as a glue code, and that is not advisable to do. So that's point number one. Second point is, prompt templates are very much useful in the concept of chains. Now, what is the meaning of chain? As I mentioned in the second video, that the output of the previous step becomes the input of the next step automatically. And if you want to write, or if you want to generate chains, which is the series of tasks happening one after the other, writing a prompt template or using the prompt template from LangChain will help you to make sure that you are not doing anything apart from or out of the framework. And I will help you explain this concept in the next video. So this is going to be the detailed discussion in the next video, where I will show you how the concept of chains can be implemented because of the prompt template which we have in LangChain. So this is very useful. The third reason why we have prompt template in LangChain is because this provides you with additional messages with tags that helps you to write efficient prompt while chatting with a chatbot. So what happens when you create a chatbot? The chatbot is required to remember your past conversation. For example, let me demonstrate through you and we will be having a discussion around it. But for example, let's say as a human, I mentioned that hello. Then the next message will be from the AI. And let's say AI will say, hello, how are you? Then human will say, um, can you tell me about Kanpur? Then let's say the AI will answer something. Then you will say, human will ask, uh, what is the capital of this city? So let's say you have written. Now, when you say this city, that means your chatbot has to go back and check back the context of this conversation, which means you have to preserve this entire conversation somewhere. And if you preserve it, let's say like this, let's say just a list, hello, comma, hello, how are you? So basically you have just preserved the entire conversation like this in comma separated list. Now the problem is that your LangChain or basically your chat bot will not be able to understand what was the input from the user and what was the output from the LLM. So the concept of messages is inbuilt in LangChain, which will tag your message, the particular message or the input and the output from either human or the AI with these specific tags, which makes your prompt more powerful when you provide it to the LLM, which is your chatbot. And then doing a conversation or building up a chatbot becomes very efficient because now your chatbot knows exactly what message came from the human and what message came from the AI. So we will be looking into all these things in this video, but I hope I was able to help you understand what is the need of prompt template. And if you have not understood it clearly, I hope you would have understood my point number one, that this provides you with the mechanism of making sure that you are limiting yourself in the framework and you are not using any kind of glue code. Now, before we talk more about it, let's actually look into how to write a prompt template, and then all these points will make more and more sense. So from langchain underscore core dot prompts, as I mentioned in the very second video, that langchain underscore core is a very important library and it comes with all the core components. So here from this library, I will import the prompt template and we will be also using the chat prompt template, but let's talk about the prompt template. Now prompt template, you can just create a template, a variable, and then instantiate your function prompt template. Now this takes two input. One is the template, which basically is the input or the prompt, which is the dynamic prompt. So I will write, yeah, that's it. So thanks to uh, autocomplete in Google Colab, you can see it has written. So template is basically the dynamic prompt and this is the placeholder. And here in the input variables, you define the exact same placeholder which you have defined over here. Now we have created our prompt. Now we have to take the input from the user. So enter the name of the city. And what I will do now is I'll just say temp.invoke and I will provide this. So I need to provide this temp, which is the prompt template, with this input variable so that this prompt template can dynamically place this input variable in this particular string to return you the proper prompt. So when I say temp.invoke and name the provide the name, which is INP, which is will be collected by the user, I should get a proper prompt. And let's run it and check it what I'm getting. So if I provide the name Kanpur, and here you can see the string prompt value text is equal to write 5 points about the city Kanpur, and you can see that now we have created a dynamic prompt, making sure that we are not using any glue code. Now the best part is this invoke. Have you seen this invoke somewhere else also? While you talk or while you provide a prompt to your LLM, which is your chat OpenAI or Claude or Gemini, you use the same method invoke. And when you are creating a dynamic prompt, you are again using the same method invoke. And that is the best part of LangChain. So because of this consistency, you are able to create chains. So now you do not need to write that this is the input to this particular next step and this is the output. You just write invoke for one time and then the entire chain will happen, because this invoke is consistent across all the functions in LangChain. And that is the best part. Again, I have told you that we will look into that chain concept in the next video, but I hope you are able to somewhat understand that why we need prompt template. Now you can see that we have created the dynamic prompt. All I need to do now is write result is equal to llm.invoke prompt, and we will be able to see the content. So if I again provide the name Kanpur, I should be able to get my result. And here we go, right? So now what we have understood is how we can write a very simple prompt. Let me show you the concept of chains also. I am just like, this is just a small demonstration, but we will have a detailed discussion in the next video, I promise. All you need to do is you need to write chain is equal to temp this pipe operator LLM, and now you say chain dot invoke input. Now what is going to happen, just see. This pipe operator is basically the way to define a sequential chain in LangChain. We will talk about it in detail, don't worry about it. But when you put a pipe, it is a sequential chain. Basically mean one input, so one block with input and output, second block with input and output, third block input output, and so on. Now what is happening when you say chain.invoke with this input will first go to this block, which is temp, and temp is this block. So when you go to this block, the input that is provided by the user will go and create a dynamic prompt. That prompt, which is the output of this block, will go inside the input of this block, and now the LLM will get this input, which is the dynamic prompt, and it will return me the output. So now if I say result, this result is not the prompt. This result is basically the result from my LLM, and you just see the magic. Same answer, right? So this is what the advantage is. Because of this invoke, since it is consistent across all the functions that you create in LangChain, you do not need to use this again and again, because every next component in your sequential chain uses the same method to execute, and hence you execute it for one time and then your chain start executing one after the other, and you are done. So that's the advantage. So I hope you guys would have understood how to create a basic prompt template. Just simply write template with your dynamic prompt and input message with basically the input variable, which basically is the placeholder that you define over here. Now let's try to understand what other components comes under the prompt template. Now other advantages of using prompt template is getting validation. What I mean by validation. So let me show you and demonstrate you that. If I quickly just copy paste this piece of code and put it over here, let me give it a title. So this is prompt validation. Now what will happen if I simply write validate template is equal to true? Now what will happen when you invoke, it will not invoke, or it will throw you an error if you try to invoke with less number of inputs that you have defined over here. So let's say in n points. So let's say I have defined another input n, and what I'll do in this list, I will define n. And now here in this particular, when I'm invoking this template, I'm just providing one input, which is the input, which is the city name. When I execute it, I will get error. Uh, Perhaps the comma is here. Okay, over here. So let me put the name Kanpur, and I am getting error. Expected mapping type as input to prompt template received class in string troubleshooting. So the reason you are getting this error is because of this validate template is equal to true, which basically mean this template expects you to enter two variables, city and n. Input variables are city and n, and you have provided only one. So that is another advantage of using prompt template. You get the runtime validation, which is not possible to do in string formatting or f strings. Second advantage is, so let me create another variable which is n also. N is equal to input, enter the number of lines, enter the number of points you want the explanation. Okay, and here I provide, in the invoke I provide inp comma n, and let me run it to see my prompt. So let's provide Kanpur, let's provide 2, and why I'm getting this? Acha. Okay, so basically the error is that when you provide multiple variables, when multiple input variable, you have to provide a dictionary, but the dictionary should be the keyword dictionary. Basically the name of the variable with the input and the name of the variable and the input. So now you are able to see, we are able to create a dynamic prompt. Now, another advantage which you get with prompt template is you can preserve this prompt and reuse this. So save and reuse. So how we can save? So all you need to do is you just say temp.save. I want to save this prompt as city.json. And when you check your folder over here, you can see that city.json is available to me. Now, if you want to load this with this prompt template, you can also import one more function, which is load underscore prompt. And now all you need to do is, so your temp is equal to load underscore prompt, and you provide the path to your JSON file over here, and you have successfully imported your prompt. So that is another advantage of using your prompt template. So I hope now you guys would have understood in a very detailed way that why I need a prompt template, and I have tried explaining it in a much detail. So I hope this is clear. So now let's try to understand how we can write a prompt in multiple ways, and what are the other things that I can do with this prompt template. So before we jump on understanding the message components of LangChain prompt template, which is AI message, human message, tool message, system message, let's try to create a small chatbot to understand the importance of these messages. And as of now, as I have mentioned previously also, that The chatbot will be able to answer your query when you are also providing the chatbot with the history of conversation. So we will try to create a very simple chatbot with history of conversation in a simple list without any tag. It will be comma separated all the conversations. And let's try to see how my chatbot answers all the question. So I will first of all get a language model which we have previously created. So let's get this part. And now uh, we will create a history as a variable, which is basically a list where I'm going to preserve all the conversation history while true. So I'm going to basically create a loop which will keep on running until I say stop. So I will take the input from the user, which is going to be with the tag u. So it will give you the feel of chatting with the AI. And in the history, I will append this input without any tag, just append. Also, I will mention over here if it is, so let's write if the input is equal to exit, then I want to break, else I will invoke, and let's append this not over here so that I am not appending the exit part. Let's append it over here. So history is appended. Now I will invoke my prompt. So my result from the LLM would be LLM dot invoke with the history. And then I am also going to preserve the history dot append, and I'm going to preserve the result also. And then I will also show that the AI messages result.content. So what is happening in this? I have maintained a list which is history. I am running a while loop which is going to run until I say exit, and then I will break the loop as soon as I exit. Otherwise, the input message will be preserved or appended in my list, and then I will invoke my LLM with the entire history, which is basically the entire list, so that the LLM is getting exposed to the entire conversation that I had in the past also. And I will then append the result also, so that I'm updating the response from the LLM also, and then I will show the response to the user as AI tag. So you will have a U tag and you have a AI tag. Let's run it. So U is hello, AI is hello, how I can assist you. My name is Sumit. Nice to meet you, Sumit. How I can help you today? What's my name? Your name is Sumit. Now you are able to see that LLM is able to quickly answer that my name is Sumit is because when I am prompting or invoking my LLM, I am providing the entire history, which is making this LLM to find out the answer from the entire list. What's the capital of India? The capital of India is New Delhi. Where is New Delhi? Where, or I just write without mentioning New Delhi. What's the best location to visit in this city? Some popular location in New Delhi includes this, and let's exit. So now you can see we are out of this chatbot. So what you have understood, and if I quickly show you the history, you will be able to see that I have maintained a list. Hello, then the response from the AI, because I have maintained, I have just appended the result from the AI as simply result, not the result.content. And you can see that this entire conversation is again and again going inside the LLM to get me the response. Now the problem is that my LLM is getting this entire conversation as a plain list without a tag about which message is coming from which kind of user, whether it is a system prompt, whether it is a AI message, or whether it is a user message. And that is where the concept of messages were introduced by the LangChain to help us tag all the messages from the user, from the AI, from the tool, or from the system. And let's now try to understand these components. So now let's understand about how we can use these concept of messages. So from LangChain underscore core dot messages, let's import human message, AI message, and system message. Now let's create a prompt. L is equal to, or let's call it as P is equal to a list where I have a system message like you are a helpful assistant, and human messages. Um, what's the capital of India? And I don't need a comma over here. So a system message is basically the instruction provided to the LLM. Remember, every query that you perform or every prompt that you write will always have a system message. For example, if you want to provide your LLM with a persona, let's say I want my LLM to act like a data scientist, then that is going to be a system message. Let's say I want my LLM to correct the English grammar of my email. So the instruction, which is you are a English writer and you are required to correct the English grammar of the provided email, that is going to be a system message, while the human message will be the entire email that I have written. So that's how you can segregate between what is a system message and what is a human message. It is always advised to write your prompt with a system message tag and a human message tag so that you are able to inform your LLM that what is the instruction and on which you have to perform the instruction. So as of now, we are providing this LLM with a persona. The persona is that you are a helpful assistant, and the human messages, what is this? So let me now invoke my LLM with this prompt and I will get the result, which is the capital of India is New Delhi. So this is how you can create a very simple message template. But how we can use this message template in my chatbot? So let's try to do it. So I'll copy this entire code and I will put it over here. And now what I'll do is I will add a default system message over here. So the system message is you are a helpful assistant, and I'll remove this. So I have added a default system message so that now when I provide the entire history to my LLM knows the persona of what it is acting like. Or let's try out something amazing. You are a data scientist. Let's give this persona. Now when I take an input, if it is exit, I can do some more amazing thing. So if input dot lower, so that even if the person is entering it as capital letters, I'm not getting any problem. And we can create in, and we can create a list where we have exit, we have buy, we have done, we have end, we have um, that's it. Or maybe let's say these are the these are the pointers or the keywords which will end my conversation and get me out of the chatbot. When this is done, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to append it with a human message. So human message content is equal to INP. Then I am getting a result from my LLM. When I'm preserving this result, I will say this is the AI message content is equal to this, and that's it. Now we have basically tagged everything. Let's run this chatbot. So you, hello, can you tell me why I use linear regression in one sentence. Linear regression is used to model the ratio. So ठीक है. What is dependent variable in this, in the context of linear regression? Now you can see that it is able to recall that I am talking about linear regression. Let me end this. So now if I look at the history, and here you can see now we have a very detailed structure: system message, human message, AI message, human message, AI message, human message, AI message, and we are done. Now that is what the advantage of using these message tag is. But in the case of chat, wherever you are performing the chat, it might happen that sometimes you have to load the historical chat also. So basically, let's assume that this is not a chatbot which is only talking about the current conversation. So this is a conversation that we have done right now, but I want to create a chatbot which is able to also load the historical conversation into it. And that is where we have to use one more component of the message templates or the messages class of LangChain. So I hope you are able to understand the requirement. The requirement is that I want to create a chatbot where this chatbot is not only able to retain my current conversation, it is storing my current conversation, but also it is able to load the historical conversation into its memory, and then it is able to answer the questions according to it. And that is something which we can do. We have the mechanism for that also, so let's look into that. Now the concept is of the message placeholder, but message placeholder will play a major role when you have created a chat prompt template. What we have done right now is we have created a prompt which is not dynamic. Basically right now if you look at, this is not a dynamic prompt, this is a static prompt. What if I want the user to also decide that what kind of persona this chat bot should have? And we have not even decided a few more things. Let's say there are some details about when I'm writing a prompt, I want to give user some placeholders where the user is not required to write the entire prompt. So in nutshell, I want to create a dynamic prompt while I am chatting, while I'm creating a chat model, or while I'm creating a chat bot. So let's see how we can create a chat bot with a dynamic prompt. For that, I need to get the chat prompt template from LangChain underscore core dot prompts, import chat prompt template, and I will also import from LangChain underscore core dot messages, import. So let's import a human message, AI message, system message, and here we will have the messages placeholder. So from prompt, we can import the chat prompt template and the message placeholder. Now let's create the prompt. Prompt is equal to chat prompt template. Now this is where you have to be little careful. When you create a chat prompt template, you cannot create it like the way we have done it over here, which is this. Chat prompt templates are created using the tuples, and that is really weird. So in the chat prompt template, you define a tuple. Within a tuple, sorry, this is a list of tuples. So here we have a list. Within a list, we have tuples. The tuple will have the tag, which is the first element as a system. And then here you mention your dynamic prompt. You are a helpful assistant. You are a helpful, let's say we keep this as a placeholder, and here we define the persona. Let's not use it as of now, or let me use it. Maybe I can help you after that. What is the usage of this? And let's define the human message, human, and here the user message will come. Where I am missing, okay, over here, and there is a comma over here. So what I have done is I have created a dynamic prompt. This dynamic prompt will take the persona from me and will dynamically prompt this so that I can get the persona as basically, let's say, data scientist. We will be also, so let me just remove this as of now, or maybe we have that also. So here we'll be able to insert the entire chat history, which I have done over here. And then finally, here we'll be providing the human message. So if I say prompt dot invoke, again, this is going to be a dictionary where the system is going to be a scientist, the history. So basically the message placeholder is a placeholder where I can insert the entire history. So history as a key value is history, which is basically this entire history. And finally, my user message is, let's not this, what's independent variable, and let's see what is the result. So here we have the error. Where we have the error? Okay, so basically this has to be in inverted commas, not like this, like this. Oh, we have to write persona over here. So basically here we have written persona, so that is the reason it was showing me error. Now you can see we have a dynamic prompt, system message, you are a helpful data scientist. Then we have inserted the entire history over here. Human, you can see hello, and then how we can assist you today, and this, and then finally I should be again a human message, what is the independent variable. So now you can see that we are able to successfully create a dynamic chat prompt, which is basically mean when I'm doing a conversation, while doing a conversation I am creating dynamic prompts. In this example, we created a static prompts, which basically mean this system message was static. I cannot change the persona and I cannot allow the user to change the persona. But here, now we have given the flexibility to the user to define the persona. Also, we have inserted the entire history, and then the user message will come over here, so that now the user has the flexibility to decide the persona, number one. Number two, the entire past history is also loaded in the message template, which is the chat prompt template. Number three, now the human message will come after that, so that this persona, the entire history is in the context, and now the new message will be executed by the LLM. So now let's try to create a full-fledged chatbot with this chat prompt template. First of all, I will ask the user to define the persona or to choose the persona. So person is equal to input, enter the persona you want your chatbot to take. And this is where I have defined the persona. Now we will create a function chat which will take the user message, comma, the persona, and basically the history is always over here. So history is already defined over here. What will happen is I will, number one, create the prompt. So prompt is over here. I'm invoking this You don't have to use this. You can just invoke. So prompt.invoke persona, and this should be a dictionary. So I'm saying that the persona, which is basically the first placeholder, is person, which is over here, person. History is something which I have defined over here, history. And user message is something which is coming from here. So user message over here, right? So this is defined. Let me close this. And now what I want to do, I want to invoke my LLM. So result is equal to llm.invoke p. This will return me some output which I want to again append back to my history. So history.append, the human message is basically the user message, and the history is appending with the AI message also. And then what I want it to return the result. Now let's run the chatbot. So while true, I can enter a message over here, print chatbot running. And here we can again print one more line, enter exit end or stop to end the conversation. So these are just the print indicators. While true, sorry. So first I will take the user message. So for user message, I will create a is equal to input u, and then I will just ask if user underscore message dot lower in this, then break, else I will use this function, which is going to simply run this function, and this is going to return me the content. And that's it. I can think we can run it. There is a issue over here. What's the issue? Ah ha ha ha. That's what happens when you use the. So let's take the persona as data scientist, chatbot running. What's the independent variable in linear regression? So you can see that since I have provided the entire history, it is able to answer me this question based on the linear regression. Okay, what's happen when R2 score is 1? R2 score is 1, and so let's end this. So I hope now you guys are able to understand the usage of message placeholder and the chat prompt template. Again, to recap, chat prompt template helps you to design dynamic prompts while you are chatting or while you are creating the prompt in a chatbot way. Second is message placeholder will help you to insert your history in the chat prompt template, so that now the chatbot is also aware about the historical conversation that happened. Now, one more thing which I want to cover before we call this the end of the video is basically the multimodal prompts. As I mentioned in the start of the video, that you can write a multimodal prompt, also basically a prompt where you can also provide your LLM with image, with voice, with video. But if you want to use a multimodal prompt, you need to also make sure that your prompt or your LLM that you are using is capable of reading the multimodal input. So in nutshell, your model should be a multimodal LLM. Let's try to understand that. Now, when you have to create a multimodal prompt, first of all, I cannot run a multimodal prompt in ChatGPT as of now, because I'm using a paid API, so I don't want to use it. I'll be using, in this particular demonstration, I'll be using generative AI from Google. So Google generative AI, which is Gemini model. So let me quickly install that. And let me set up my Google generative AI. So chat Google generative AI, and I'm using 2.5 Flash. And in the previous video, I have explained you how to get this, right? How to set up this and how to set up the API, everything we have discussed in the last video. Simply create a list. In the list, I will define the system prompt, system message, where the system message is content is equal to you are a image reader who can tell the details about images and its components. In the message, human message, now that is where you have to a little bit think about the multimodality. In the content, now what I will do, I will create a list, and this list will follow a dictionary structure. Your first dictionary will have the tag, which is the type. Then the type is basically the text, comma. Then you will define the text, which is your input. So tell me about the following image. So tell me what you are able to find from the provided image. Second dictionary would be again starting with type. This would be my image underscore URL. And here I will then define the image underscore URL. And now what I can do is public image link. So this is a very good website where you can find out public image links. Let's click over here and let me find out an image where we can find some text also. Here we have a symbol. So let's copy this image. Just click on the image, copy the link, go back over here and provide that in inverted commas. Now your message template is created. Now I'll just say I have created GM. So gm.invoke with L, and this will return me a result, and I want result.content. What is the issue? That is correct. That is correct. Closing parenthesis does not match the opening. Okay. I think I have not closed this one. So I have closed this one. Okay. So this has to be closed over here. Yes. So basically the usage of type, and so type tag is going to be helping you with the details that you want to provide. So here you can see this image depicts a clean minimalistic surface. I think surface was written, right? No, surface ni symbol. Can you guys find symbol somewhere over here? Yes, symbol written vertically in a large bold black, right? So basically if you want to write multimodal prompts, the way is in the human message you follow the dictionary structure. The dictionary will always start with the type. Type can be text, type can be image, image URL, video, video URL, audio, audio URL, and so on. And then you define that tag in the next key value pair. So that was all about this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys were able to learn in detail about how to write a prompt template in LangChain. And I can bet that in this depth, I have not found any YouTube video till now. which explains the prompt template in such a detail. If you guys have any suggestions regarding how this series is going on and how the pace is, please mention those suggestions in the comment section. I would be very much happy to read your comments. Also, please share this video with your friends who are looking to upskill in the generative AI field. And looking forward to the next video. Till then, keep following Scaler.